Hi everyone, my name is Victor and I am one of the authors of Technit.com. Today I'm going to be taking you through the series of Learn Linux from Scratch. It's good to know about the history of what you want to learn, and we're going to look at the Linux history briefly. So, what is Linux? Linux is an operating system just like Windows operating system and any other operating systems out there. And Linux was invented by a man called Linus Torvalds. He was in the University of Helsinki in Finland while he invented this operating system. The big question is, why did he invent Linux? Torvalds purchased an IBM PC with high memory and processor, about 80386, you know, and that's a 32-bit instruction set. Yeah, that was what was invoked at that time. And it wanted to explore the functionalities of this hardware. And on unfolding this hardware, it was an MS-DOS operating system that was running on it. And what Torvalds wanted to do was to, do all of his, exploration on it. But to his surprise, he found out that the OS couldn't even perform so well. The OS couldn't even maximize the functions of the hardware, and he was, disappointed. So he opted for another operating system so he could explore his PC. He could explore this new processor that was invoked. He then jumped to Unix operating system, but Unix had costed more, and mean he wouldn't even buy it for that price. So he settled for Minix operating system. That was a free version of Unix operating system at that time, but at least it was better than MS DOS. But sooner rather than later, he realized that Minix was even limited and it wouldn't even perform what he wanted to do as he had expected, and he wasn't satisfied with the kernel, with the Minix kernel. This man, this big man, thought about using a GNU operating system. The GNU is also a Unix-like operating system, but the GNU project has been stalled for a while because they've been battling with the second part of the project. Yeah, they were able to successfully develop the first part of the project, which is the user interactive tool on a Unix-like operating system. But the second part, which is the kernel part, was difficult for the community developers to finalize. And the kernel is called GNU Horde. So Torvalds wouldn't have been able to use the GNU because it was not a perfect OS for him at that time. So he tried his best. I mean, he's looked for operating systems to use, for a good kernel to use to do his exploration, but he couldn't find any. What would you do if you were in Torvalds' shoes? What would you do? I mean, that was giving him a lot of headache. And since this man himself is a complete genius, I think you should Google about Torvalds and learn about his childhood experience. He just thought to himself. He said, "I think I'm going to make my canal myself." And he announced to the world. He said, "Hello, everybody out there. I'm doing a free OS, just a hobby, won't be anything big and professional like GNU. It probably would never support anything than 80 hard disk, and that's all I have. Wow. I mean, who thought Linux would be what it is today? So he just wanted to have fun, and he started his kernel development. Within 1 year, he was able to develop the Linux kernel. Wow. I mean, that was a big achievement for Torvalds. To cut the long story short, Torvalds licensed the Linux OS under GNU GPL, which implies that other developers can write on the source code to build their own operating systems or any other program as well. Well, that is what open source is. So other developers, including the GNU developers, saw what Torvalds was able to do. They saw his good work, and since it was open source, so developers from the GNU community took the first part of their successful project, which is the user interactive tool, and combined it with Torvalds kernel. And that made a complete OS. I mean, a very good OS. Here is a user interactive tool that can interact with the Linux kernel, and that's a perfect combination. Other developers saw this good combination. I mean, it was just so cool. And then, since it was open source, yeah, open source, and they also wrote on this source code, and they were able to build their own operating system as well. And that's why we have different Linux distributions, flavor or variant, as the case may be, or whatever you want to call it. And in 1993, Ewing developed Red Hat Enterprise Linux. He wrote on the Linux GNU GPL license. He wrote on the license, and he was able to develop Red Hat, combine his own code with the Linux source code, and he made a lot of sense. And followed by Debian. Debian 2 was founded in 1993, the same year Red Hat was founded. And that's why you begin to see, I mean, so many Linux distributions, because it is open source. And that's why we have flavors like Ubuntu, SUSE, Oracle Linux, Arch Linux, Scientific Linux, Fedora, CentOS, etc. And we have over 500 Linux distributions. I'm thinking of Victor Linux as well. Well, maybe one day you just wake up and hear Victor Linux. Yeah, but then there was a problem, and you know the problem was, the GNU started a movement, and they said Linux should be called um, Lignus at first. Yeah, but because the name was unpleasant, and they decided that, okay, they proposed that the name should be called GNU Linux, because it was a combination of the user interactive tool, the GNU's user interactive tool, with the Linux kernel that made the complete OS. I mean, I could have imagined the expression on Torvalds' face, because for Torvalds, he didn't need a user interactive tool. He just wanted to build his own kernel and do his thing. If he had wanted to, I mean, develop a user interactive tool, maybe he might have been able to do that. But apart from that, the Linux kernel is an operating system itself. At least there's some developers or computer users that don't even need a user interactive tool to be able to I mean, operate the Linux kernel. Yeah, there's some kind of computer wizards. You don't need the interactive tool. They just know how to get into the kernel and do their thing, and that was what Torvalds did. And as a matter of fact, there are some Linux distributions that did not even use the GNU tool. I mean, they just used the Linux kernel and their own interactive tool that they built, and it made a complete OS. So Torvalds wasn't comfortable with that name that Linux should be called GNU Linux. So moving forward onto cut the whole long story short, you can come to the website to come and read more about it. Richard Stallman was asked, which was the owner of or the president of GNU operating system. So he was asked about his perspective on calling Linux GNU Linux, and he said that it should be called GNU Linux because people get to be reminded about the free software. Well, when Torvalds was asked, Torvalds said that just as we have Red Hat Linux, SUSE Linux, Ubuntu Linux, and the rest, GNU should also be a variant on the Linux, and it should be called GNU Linux as a variant and not GNU stroke or slash Linux. So that's the brief history of how Linux was invented and how we came about Linux today. And now I'm asking you, what do you think? Do you think it's fair enough to call Linux GNU Linux? Or what's your own perspective? So you can drop your answers in the comment section, or you can come to the website as well to drop your answers. And there are some class activities on the website. And by the time we go forward in this series, I'll be dropping other class activities and other modules. So in the next class, I'm going to show you how to install the Linux operating system. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this channel. And bye for now.